Reiniciamos las actividades y ahora la sesión de perspectivas de precios estará integrada por Mariano Bustillo de Viterra, el señor Jaime Acuña, director de molienda de COFCO, Igor Kapitanchuk, responsable mundial de aceite de girasol, también de COFCO. Los acompañan el señor Ashish Akaria, vicepresidente de Patanjali Foods, y va a moderar este panel Paulo Adriani, director de Paulo Adriani y Asociados. Bienvenidos.
Buenos días a todos. Realmente es un honor estar aquí presente en esta conferencia internacional de girasol, agradeciendo la invitación a moderar este panel. Y yo diría que este es el panel más buscado por la audiencia con respecto a la tendencia de precios. Y tenemos un panel de lujo que, como ustedes habrán visto, está integrado por personas que integran COFCO, que integran Viterra y Aceites, que es una empresa muy grande en India que se dedica a los aceites. Así que yo creo que vamos a tener una jornada bastante dinámica, ¿sí? En primer lugar, me tomé el atrevimiento de hacer 3 placas solamente, ¿sí? Esta es la placa donde se muestra la tendencia del aceite de girasol en Rotterdam, desde antes del conflicto del Mar Negro hasta el día de ayer. Estos son los precios del aceite de girasol en Rotterdam hasta el día de ayer. Después tenemos el precio del aceite de girasol en Argentina, FOB, hasta el día de ayer. Entonces se pueden dar cuenta que estamos en el peor escenario de precios a nivel internacional, no solamente en Rotterdam, sino también en la Argentina. Y por último tenemos la comparación de los aceites, en donde la línea media naranjita amarilla es el aceite de soja. Y más abajo está el de colza y el de girasol. Este es un tema que lo vamos a consultar con algunos de los speakers, que es por qué el aceite de soja sigue siendo el más caro comparado con el aceite de palma, de colza y de girasol. Bien, ahora sí podemos sacar la presentación, por favor. Y vamos a comenzar con, como el invitado de honor es Mr. Ashish, ¿sí? Vamos a comenzar el bloque con un par de preguntas de Ashish y después vamos a tener un panel abierto con los traders y los especialistas de Viterra y de COFCO. La pregunta para Ashish, la primera, es la demanda actual de la India para aceite de palma, soja y aceite de girasol. ¿Cómo estima que va a ser la demanda de acá a septiembre del 2023? Ashish. You're open to talk with the microphone.
Hola, ¿cómo está? That is the best I know in Spanish. Thank you, Mr. Pablo, giving me the opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Gustav, Sandeep Bajoria, head Sunflower Oil, organizing such a beautiful event. Conference we are all enjoying. The question what you asked about the going forward, how you see the demand structure, how going forward from till September. See, my estimates is based on the oil year, what we use in October, Sep. Based on it, I can tell you the important move which has what we have witnessed in the last 6 months is the spread between the soybean oil and the palm oil. The highest we have been tracking very closely, that the highest has been went to the $540 CNF to CNF India. And I could say the lowest is we could see in today, in the morning, as front month, if you use the April shipment is went down to as low as $80. That has impacted a lot in terms of demand of palm oil. Palm oil, if you see the last oil year, its average import is close to 630,000 metric ton per month. Now, the first 6 months of the oil year, we have already close to 850,000 metric ton a month. There's a significant jump of over 30% in the palm oil imports. This combines the CPO as well as the olein. Though there's no TRQ in place, but the Indians like the prices, Indian like the spread. And this palm oil at the close to $950, $1,000 is the cheapest vegetable oil available for an Indian. None of the oil which is even domestically produced is not even cheaper than the palm oil. So palm oil is getting a very decent market share. I won't be surprised with this pace continue going forward because palm is inverted market. Inverse is $30, $40 roughly April to May and going forward. If this trend continues, personally I feel we might end up in 9 to 9.5 million metric ton of palm this oil year. What we have to see going forward post-Ramadan, the domestic policies of Indonesian government, DMO, especially DMO policies, and the big question on the production going forward. So my number is roughly 9.5 million metric ton, 9.5, 9.5 million metric ton of import of palm, increase of anything around 25 to 30% increase in the imports, which is quite significant. Soybean oil per se is they start losing a bit of market share over here. There's two reasons. One is, of course, the price spread, which makes a soybean oil very expensive for the Indian consumers. Same time, the policies where the Indian government allows only 222 million metric ton of oil without import duty. So that has distorted the market a bit. This year, we have been fortunate to have over 10 million metric ton of crop of soybean and rapeseed, mustard seed. That has going to provide a lot of availability of domestic oil subject to the crush if it happens in decent pace. So soybean oil is a little bit looser over here, is already down. The import of first 6 months has already been down by over 15 to 17%. So my number I'm using it for soybean oil is close to 3 million, 3.1 million at expense of palm. Another interesting, I would say the number is sunflower oil. You guys will be pleased to know that we are having the sunflower oil conference and I'm talking about the larger exporter, much bigger exporter. So it's good for Argentina, good for India. There's absolutely no brainer for any importer when you buy the sunflower oil a la par with the palm oil. If you look at the number of first 6 months, the trend has been there for last 3-4 months. It's almost like the $50-$70 premium. Then palm has coming up. Now we are almost at par. What trade has been reported last few days, and sunflower oil is the biggest beneficiary of edible oil in terms of imports. Looking at the trend, I won't be surprised if that trend continues. My friend Igor yesterday has mentioned that next year crop is also going to be huge, over 5 million metric ton across the globe, which means we are talking about close to over 2.2 million metric ton of oil available for sunflower oil available for the consumers, which is a great relief, and likely that the share of sunflower oil is likely to go up significantly. Base demand of sunflower is over 2 million metric ton, but just by the sheer spread, I think it's sunflower, and I'm not surprised if this spread continues of $70-$80 below the bean oil at par with the palm oil, which is likely to be in next few months. Going forward, we have to see how the farmer sells in Argentina. But if that trend continues and India start liking the sunflower oil, we might touch a close to 3 million metric ton of sunflower oil in this current oil year. So bean oil is a loser, palm oil is a gaining, sunflower oil is the biggest beneficiary. if you look at the import pattern of first 6 months compared with the last oil year, I would say that the import has gone up 15% in first 6 months of the oil year, which is very significant jump. Some of it goes into the pipeline as a base stocks. But Indians like the prices. Indians like the prices of close to in 3-digit or 4-digit $1,000. I think the consumption is going to be increased. The question is going to be 5% or 7.5%. I think close to 5% could be a reality going forward. So India may end up close to 15 million metric ton of import if this pattern continues, which is likely to be. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ashish. Now I will follow with Igor. Igor, there is a lot of confusion in the audience. We have talked in the breaks about the Russia and Ukraine sunflower oil production and offer to the next 6 months and the first quarter of 2024. So how do you project the production in both countries and the export surplus? Because the sunflower oil offer from Ukraine was not so bad, because you told yesterday that they have used the stocks. When this stock will finish and when the new crop is coming, and which is the volume and the offer, how do you predict that?
Good day to everyone. Yeah, I mean, in the current season, the production is done, so we know the stocks are there, so oil is available. Yeah, it is the time actually now to buy the market share. Yeah, for the sun oil. So it's cheap, it's available, it's competitive. I mean, what Ashish was saying, you know, probably going to 3 million. I mean, eventually, yes, maybe not this year, but I think the growth potential is there. So this is the time for sun oil basically to buy the market share. I don't say that, you know, of course the market has corrected a lot. Yeah, I mean, it corrected 2 weeks ago, like it was a panic selling, yeah, so massive drop. It bounced back, but it still remains very competitive versus palm oil. I mean, palm oil, I mean, again, almost even money today into India. I mean, it's still a big discount to soybean oil, so demand will be there. So, and it's the time basically to export Ukraine, Russia, again, Argentina, and eventually, you know, we can with the good flow and more demand, we might see even end of the season some sun oil trading at a premium. So, but not now, for sure not now. You need to get rid of the stocks what are there, and especially Russia. You know, Russia, they have big stocks, so Russia will be the one moving the market and will be putting the pressure in the market going forward. In terms of new crop, yeah, I mean the expectation is there should be good crops, but it's not planted yet. Okay, so we are just started. So there are a lot of things can happen, you know, until we have the crop in the bin. But our expectations are good. Yeah, I think the economics work for planting more sunseed, especially in Ukraine. So this will happen, but yeah, weather we still don't know, right? So we need to go through this. So a lot of things will happen before we have a crop in the bin.
Igor, with this actual sunflower oil prices in the world, which are in the bottom, the Argentine farmers are suffering very low prices in the domestic market. When will you see a recovery of the sunflower oil prices, and in which amounts in the coming months? Do you see any recovery of these prices?
Look, at these prices, again, I mean, sun oil, you cannot look at the sun oil only on the sun oil, you know. So obviously when there is a big production like what it is now, it needs to market itself. So, I mean, it's very dependent on what other oils are doing, yeah? I mean, when there is, when the production is small, I mean, sandal has its own life, of course, yeah? So this is not the case at the moment, so it obviously needs to adjust to what other oils are doing. And that's what we see. For the Argentine farmer, I mean, the market, I think this what we've seen, the massive drop, let's say 2 weeks ago, I think it probably will be difficult to repeat. But again, I don't expect that we're going to move a lot from these levels as well, you know. So I think we will be gradually sort of trading this sort of numbers. We have to look also what's happening in the Black Sea. I mean, in Ukraine, for example, I mean, at these sort of prices, the crush margins are, you know, are not big. You know, they dropped a lot. So the farmer resistant selling is farmer is resistant at the moment. You know, so it's not very eager to sell at these levels. And same in Russia, for example. So of course they have a big crops to sell, but it's you know, they might wait, and especially with their government in Russia now sort of talking about sort of restrictions, or maybe canceling the export duties, which is also a possibility, because in Russia you have export duty on the seeds, which is 50%, and minimum I think is $320 or something. So obviously it doesn't calculate for export, but they might consider doing this. Again, this is what they said already, you know. So that's why in the short term, farmer will be expecting something from the from the government, and might not be selling aggressively, you know. So that's why you know, from this sort of levels, I think we should be we will be the market will be dropping too much. No, don't expect so much.
Thank you very much. Now we will change the focus of the panel. We have here Marino Bustillo from Viterra. I think that he has a lot of important things about this soybean oil market or soybean market in Argentina. So Mariano, you are free to give to the audience your best opinion about the soybean oil market.
Hello. Yes. So good morning. Okay, so I will be talking from a crusher perspective. I will try to give an overall picture on what we are seeing in Argentina. I will try not to be too negative, but probably it's going to be difficult for me not to be, because this is a very unique year in many ways. We already saw presentations yesterday where we were describing the situation that we are facing in terms of extremely adverse weather conditions. The drought that we saw last year, we need to go back more than 100 years to see anything close to that. Production was extremely affected, not only on the acreage. Late December, we closed the window of planting, and a lot of acreage was lost, but also on the yield. We had extreme weather conditions also in Feb, with very hot and dry, especially temperatures well above the average, and this also had a big impact on the yields. All of these translates into an unprecedented production number. Our estimate is 25 million tons. This, if anything, could be lower. And we are talking about almost a 50% reduction compared to the initial estimates. So this will definitely set the tone for the market for this year in Argentina. From a crusher perspective, I think that this will probably be the most challenging year for our industry. It's going to be very, very difficult to be able to crush at the pace that we want to crush. We are finishing the transition from old crop to new crop, and we are already seeing how hard it's going to be for us. this transition has been extremely difficult. The beans availability is very tight. The industry is not being able to crush, not even close to nominal levels. One of the reasons of this is that we are facing a new kind of markets for us in the domestic market. The farmer is selling only when we have the right conditions, and the right conditions are coming when there's a political decision behind bringing these conditions. The last time that we had some kind of movement in the domestic market was in December. Since then, activity has been zero. So the availability is very tight. We are waiting and hoping for the harvest to come. We believe it's going to be a late harvest because of the late planting. So the industry is counting the days to be able to start to receive new crop beans. This is in terms of production. Then when we look at the economics, this is also quite a challenging year. The crush margin for us at the moment is negative. We have been seeing negative margins for a long period of time, and there's nothing, at the moment, nothing going on. Again, the market is completely standstill. Everyone is waiting for, we will touch base a bit later on these new programs that we are seeing. We are expecting the third version of the soy program, but everyone is standstill waiting for this program. The farmer is not selling, so the margins are nominal but negative. And then when we look at the producer, the farmer in Argentina, he's also in a very difficult spot. When we look at the ROIs for the farmer, they are deeply negative. They need the price to compensate the yield, and at the moment, this is not happening. So no matter where you look in Argentina, things are going to be challenging. And what makes even more complicated the situation is that we need to look at not only Argentina on the discussion, but South America as a group. No, we have Brazil, which is the completely opposite situation. Brazil has a monster crop, record ever production on beans. You look at the crush margins, and the crush margins are fantastic, excellent margins. You look at the farmer, and the farmer is making money. So Argentina needs to position itself on a world market with completely different tools to fight. Every time we try to defend our margin, Brazil will be able to be more aggressive and competitive. When the farmer wants to defend the price on the beans, you have the push on the Brazilian farmer. So situation is going to be pretty complicated in terms of the fundamentals of the market for Argentina. In terms of going more into the oil discussion, what we see from our side is we see that there's going to be a story, but this story will unfold on the second half of the year. We see that there's going to be an imbalance, but this imbalance will only be in place August onwards, in our opinion. April, May, June, if anything, will be the moment where Argentina will be able to crush a decent amount of beans. Thereafter, probably no. Something that we need to respect is the fact that the market is changing. The fundamentals are not really the driver of what is going on. More and more our markets are being driven by political decisions or macros, and we think that this is going to be the case. The fact that everyone is waiting for a program, for a political decision in order to bring the right conditions for the market to gain traction, this is a clear example. And our expectation is that we will only see some decent activity once the program comes. But this brings some big consequences for us. The fact that we don't have any farmers selling until the program comes, and the fact that there's not going to be any farmers selling once the program is over, means that we need to adapt, we need to position ourselves, and we need to be ready to take the opportunity when the opportunity comes. Our expectation is that this program, if it happens, we don't have the final truth. We need to wait and see, but we believe it will happen. It will bring farmer selling. We saw what happened in September. We saw what happened in December. So the programs work basically because they help to narrow the gap between the FX that we have in Argentina. And this is one of the key elements that the farmer is looking at when they decide to sell or not. So we think that if it comes, it will be successful again, and we are expecting to see between 8 and 10 million tons of farmer selling. This is a massive amount of farmer selling for a very short window of time. Whether it's 30 days or 45 days, the selling is going to be big. I always try to explain this as a change of paradigm. In the past years, everyone was waiting for harvest, and we were discussing the harvest pressure, when the harvest will come, when the farmer will sell, and you needed to take the right position before that. Now, this is a completely different game. It's a political pressure. You try to figure out when the program will come to get an idea on when the farmer will be selling. We believe on the program. We believe that the crush will be decent April, May, June. Thereafter, it will be very complicated for us in terms of beans availability. The production I mentioned, we are using 25 million tons. We are using a higher crush. We are crushing more than what we are producing. This is quite unique as well. Our consideration is 25 million tons total crush for the year. This is the lowest ever crush utilization for Argentina, which also explains why it's going to be so challenging. The reason why we are able to crush more than what we produce is because, and this again is something that we are breaking a record this year, is we are importing beans. And probably this is going to be the highest ever imports of beans. We're bringing beans from Paraguay. This is the usual flow, but we are also bringing beans from Brazil. Brazil is pushing hard to sell the monster crop, and we are taking, I wouldn't say advantage, we are trying to somehow compensate what we are losing in Argentina. This is only a partial compensation. So 27 million tons. This is quite a reduction year on year on the crush. And when we are discussing crush, and this is very linked to our view on the oil, we look at the combination as well, Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay. And year on year, we see that there's more beans. Obviously, what Brazil is producing is more than compensating the losses in Argentina. But when we look at the crush, this is not really the case. You look at the numbers, and we are losing crush. South America will be crushing, based on our analysis, between 5 and 6 million tons less this year. And this will have an implication on the oil and the meal supply and demand. For us, this implication will take place in the second half of the year, where we see a tightness, and we think that there's an upside on the price. But we need to respect the timing. And we need to respect the fact that when we think on the market, we believe that the next player to come will be the farmer, not so much the consumer. So in the very short term, we believe that the flat cash price needs to stay close to where the consumer finds value. Because when the farmer comes and we want to turn around and find someone willing to take the risk that brings the farmer selling, the price needs to stay close to the consumer. And timing-wise, again, we believe that the next player in the market will be the farmer. So short term, we are not very friendly. Mid, long term, we think there's a bull story.
Thank you very much. Very, very good explanation. Just very short and quick questions. How much volume do you think that Argentina will import of beans between Paraguay and Brazil?
We have, our number is 7.5 million tons. This is a number that can go up. The capacity that Argentina has, if we look at the monthly capacity, we have around 1 million tons to import. So clearly, there's an upside on our numbers, but the economics are yet not in place. When we try to import more beans, I will split the number. We have 4.5 million tons from Paraguay, and we have a bit more than 2 million tons from Brazil. If this number is going to be changing, it won't be because of Paraguay, it will be because of Brazil. But in order to increase, we need to see different economics.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, we will come back to sunflower oil market, and now I leave the word to Jaime Miguel Acuña from COFCO, Argentina. Jaime, you have the opportunity to talk to the audience and give them your feeling and your analysis of the sunflower oil market in Argentina.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody. When a lot was already discussed in terms of price yesterday, when the whole conference was much more on the commercial side, spreads, how cheap the sun oil has become, and how it's winning demand. I think the story following the first chart that you showed today starts last year, no? When the big swing on prices and big premium of the sun oil over other oils due to the invasion of Russia into Ukraine, that trigger high prices. And as we like, the farmer usually, especially I would say in Argentina, is very flexible in terms of price. So if the incentive of price is there, that will trigger higher production. And that's what we saw last year, not only on sunseed, but also rapeseed, that the area grow, production grow, incentive from the farmers were there. There was at that time a big question mark in terms of what will happen with Ukraine and Russia in terms of export, due to all the bans that the different governments were putting to export of Russia, and with the situation of Ukraine, how much were they going to export, what would be the crush availability, and the production on the following year. And as usual, with high prices, market find their own way to solve S&Ds. Ukraine were surprising to the market, find a way to export, if was not the oil, the sunseed into Europe. Production was, again, there are some numbers around, but following Igor's numbers shown yesterday, production was not as damaged as expected, and the production grew everywhere. And a lot of oil seeds, no? In the sense that high yield oil like rapeseed and sun oil. And that when we went to transit to second half of the year and beginning of this year, start putting pressure on the market. We had to find a home for all that oil. Looking just at the case of Argentina, Alejandro already showed yesterday the increase on production, that was triggered mainly from higher economics. That higher economics, when the farmer was planting last year, they were thinking about a sunseed of $700. That triggered more area, triggered more production. Then we have the prices falling and the big price fallout that we had these last 2-3 weeks. That was just in the period where we have the harvest pressure in Argentina. So that triggered that as an origin, we had to fight for demand for the sun oil, and at the same time that goes back to the farmer with roughly now 65% harvested, that they didn't get the price that they were expecting at time of planting. But where we are now is, I think that when it was already mentioned, but the situation is changing. I think in general, if you take aside what Mariano was mentioning on the government incentive that could trigger farmer selling, that is kind of artificial and cannot follow any kind of S&D. We basically are dependent on the government, on the timing of each program. But generally, after this big price correction that we saw on all the complex, because it was soy complex, rapeseed complex, and sun complex, we are not finding the farmer worldwide, I would say. Brazil, Argentina, Igor mentioned Russia and Ukraine. Farmers are at these prices, it will be difficult to take the sunseed or the other products out of farmers' hand unless there is programs like there are here in Argentina for the soybeans. So going forward, and especially once looking at the sunseed itself, once the harvest pressure is over, that we are very close to it with 65% harvested, and if a program of soybeans kick in the market, we believe that the turnaround that we have been seeing in terms of farmers selling and exporters hedging those purchases into the FOB or into the Indian market mainly, that will start slowing down, and slowly but surely prices will be finding some support. Maybe we have the seasonality on the bean oil that Mariano mentioned, but that seasonality, those 8 to 10 million tons that I think the whole industry agree more or less on the volume of the farmer selling, will be in a short period of time putting pressure to the market, but looking from a consumer perspective would be a very good time to buy, because what comes next is very difficult to predict, but we can assume that will be less crush, record low crush utilization, no farmer selling out of Argentina. I mean, yes, a big chunk of beans will be commercialized in a very short period of time, but that will be close to 50% of the crop. What comes next? What will be the next incentive for the Argentine farmer to engage and really commercialize? How that will be managed by the industry? We have the import flow that will help to maintain certain minimum crush, but there are limitations. We are not prepared as a country to import a record amount of beans. We are an exporting country. The flow of Paraguay, that is like a normal flow that we have every year, is on barges. The Brazilian imports are on vessels. We have restrictions on draft. We have restrictions on berth availability. And that is what will trigger what we believe a very tight second half of the year supply. Again, there are certain things like the rapeseed crop in Europe that needs to find some support and still home for some production. But all in all, we believe that the sun oil itself did a big job pricing itself at a very big discount into other oils. So even if we have pressure from the soybean oil side, as was previously mentioned, we believe that sun oil will find some better support, and maybe the job of the market is to reduce the big spreads that we have currently between the sun oil and the bean oil.
Thank you very much. I think that this was a first-class panel. I have to recognize, taking the opportunity that you are here now, mostly Igor and Ashish. I will give you 2 minutes to send a message to the audience, and the same for you. So take the microphone. Let's 2 minutes of message to the Argentine farmers, industry, all the guys involved in the business.
Hello. Might ask for 2 minutes more just to give a flavor of the Indian growth story, just for some of it. I already mentioned in the board of Sierra. This decade belongs to India. So I'd suggest all my friends out here support India to support or push their own growth. If you want to grow, join India, support India. Just to give a flavor, the demand-wise is like its estimate is close to 3.5 million marriages in this season in India. The expenses is going to be around $40 to $45 billion. And you can imagine kind of, like the Indians, when the Indians celebrate the marriage, it's not like 100, 200, it's in thousands. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and some of marriage I've attended even 5,000 guests. So that shows itself that kind of a demand. I mean, I'm pretty bullish on the demand. Going forward, like talking about the sunflower oil, I'm firm believer is cure for low price is low price. Cure for high price is high price. So cure for the low price is like, and son, whenever you come, my experience in this business, when the seller come and knock your door to buy sun oil, buy sun oil. Otherwise, you keep on chasing the seller. And sometimes it's like, you can compare it, it's like a Dracula. When it's say, you think is gone and over is over, it's not going to come back. It comes with a vengeance. So keep on selling to India. India is there to support to you guys, especially Argentina and sunflower industry. And I guess we are here. The economy is booming. You guys are most welcome to join the Indian growth. I think we are looking for the close to 24 million metric ton of veg oil economy, which is $20 billion. And we are just started.
Thank you, Ashish. Igor?
I would start basically with the fact that last year, after the Russian invasion, Argentina sort of saved the world, saved the industry, because with the supply of sunflower oil, without that would have been very difficult. So I want to thank you, Argentina, for that. But also in the last days, I've been talking to people here, not only to Argentines, but other delegates of the conference. Everyone is showing support to Ukraine. So I wanted to thank all of you guys here, to all Argentina, to everyone for big support to Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you. Jaime and Mariano, please, you did a great presentation. Just 2 minutes to the Argentinians.
Sorry, again?
No, what do you want to share with the audience?
No, a positive message. No,
yes, a positive message.
I want to a special thank you to our Indian friends that took the time to fly all the way from India to here. We all know how long that flight is, so we appreciate that you're here. For us, for the industry, we absolutely depend on the partnership that we have with India. We were seeing the presentations. India represents 50% of the outlet that we have for our products. So for us, it's very special to have you here, and we want to thank you for the support. Our growing industry can only happen because we are close to India. So we hope to continue to work the way we've been working in these years, to increase, to be able to go through this difficult year. We are absolutely optimistic about the future in terms of Argentina being able to produce a lot of grains, a lot of beans, and be able to supply the world. So thank you for being here.
You, Jaime?
Of course, thank you to the India delegation and the whole Sunflower Conference to invite me to this panel. And for Argentinians, hold on, things will get better. There is not much more that we can say. Thank you.
Okay, guys, I think that we have to give a great applause to this panel. And thank you very much. Thank you.